I think you got to be loud and proud about the work that you do. No one's going to be excited about the work that you do unless you are. And for me, if you follow me on social media, sorry, you're going to see a ton of things about the books that I'm doing, the places that I'm going, the businesses that are stalking me, the coffee shops that I visit, the bookstores that I go to and patronize, the libraries that I'm stocked in. You're going to see that journey. That's why I created on Facebook the author Tonee B. Shelton. It is me, but it's also a persona in the fact of I'm curating and giving you an experience and inviting you into the love that I have for literacy in words.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the lively art of conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, we pass it along. Join us every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. as we bring to you our story on the lively art of conversation. It's more than just a radio show and the podcast. It is our story that creates your story based off your tests, based off your message, and also based off your triumphs. Everything about our story creates your story, and it's our tribe that creates your vibe on the lively art of conversation. So thank you for joining us on the lively art of conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, we pass it along. Tune in. Oh my goodness, we're back. Hey, don't pull a car over to the side of the road. Don't have an accident. Slow down. It is your guy, Rodney Duckett, with the lively art of conversation. I'm back, and you know what it is. It's my favorite time of the year. Really, my whole favorite time of the year is just all year round. But there's something by way of Carter G. Woodson that makes this day so special to Dr. Rodney Duckett. It's Black History Month. And I don't care what they say. I don't care what they say. I don't care what mandates are out. I will always celebrate Black History 365 days of the year. But I will honor Carter G. Woodson today with Black History. But like I do with every show, before I jump into this show, guess what I have to do? I have to pay respect to my underwriters, which makes this show phenomenal. So at this time, underwriters, take it away.
Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Tonee B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose, with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email TonyShelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized. Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service, so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemediallc.com.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC outreach@gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums, so that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family, so that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. And I'm back with the lively art of conversation, where you live, learn, earn, and pass it along. February the 1st is Black History Month, and we're here. This is what I challenge everybody to do. Really, I do. Study Black history. If you're a white person listening to this, Black person, Asian, Mexican, I don't care. Study Black history. You'll be very surprised when you do a deep dive in Black history. Not the commercialized stuff that they put in the McGraw books that they give in school. Not some of the falsified documents that they expel in the books. But what I'm trying to say is some deep archaeological, anthropological Black history studies, and you'll be surprised. But with Black history on board, there's one specific thing about Black history that I love as a child growing up. Suburban Acres Library in North Tulsa and Rudisill North Regional Library was story time. And boy, do we got a show for you today. We have a show today because this show is near and dear to my heart. It's something that I grew up with, made me the man, the speaker that I am today, is sitting around and having people read stories to me or tell me stories. Storytelling has been a major part of my life. If it was Suburban Acres, Rudisill, or tribal stories that I've heard on the reservation before, it just hits me near and deep. And guess what? I got a special guest. Now, I don't know. I banned this person from the last show that I had. And I told her she couldn't come back.
Right.
So she slipped me some money, so money speaks.
About right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is a financial contractual agreement that I have to honor. Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. Now this is the dear, sweet Tonee B. Shelton. And she's here today to do what we do. If you are listening, you've been waiting for that word of the week, that quote of the week, and that question of the week. Why am I going to do it when I got an author right here next to me? Ladies and gentlemen, she's been on the show for like the 1,000th time.
Right.
Yes. Okay. She is my underwriter. Yes. She's been banned from the show. Backed by popular demand. She's here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to turn it over to the beautiful, the brilliant, and the bold Tonee B. Shelton.
Aw, thank you. You all are listening to the lively art of Tonee's conversation with Dr. Duckett. You want the word?
You know what? You didn't went on and start battle rapping me in here. Like, we're going to start battle rapping. I just feel it's going on, but no, go ahead and do your thing, Tonee. Wordsmith.
Wow. So as we head into, because we're in February now, but it's still the top of the year.
Yes.
The word I think that we need to hold in reverence, especially to those that came before us, and especially in contribution to Black History Month, is endurance.
I love that. Please continue.
Endurance. I wasn't one. I used to be able to run really fast, believe it or not. But I always had a profound respect for the long distance and middle distance runners. The endurance runners is what they would call them. Yeah. I hated in basketball when we'd have to do strength conditioning and endurance. Endurance training is what they called it. But once you tap into endurance, like I'm just learning in my 33 years of living. I've been here a while now. A lot of life is enduring. Yes. You got to endure some things in order to grow and evolve. So that's the word, endurance.
Okay. And what about a good quote or a question? What you got for me?
Wow. What are you willing to endure to become the person that God calls you to be?
Woo. All right. It's Sunday. And can you say it one more time for the people in the back?
Wow. So for the people in the back pew, because I know everybody is listening in. Y'all are headed to church. Amen.
Amen.
For the people in the back pew, what are you willing to endure in order to become the person that God has called you to be?
Enduring. And we live on a legacy of enduring right now based off of February the 1st. There's been so much bloodshed, tears. Sometimes we don't pay respect to the actual trailblazers, the unsung heroes, the porters, the janitors, the stagecoach masters, the people that worked in the coal mines. Sometimes the shine comes on some of those leaders that are on the top of the mountain, but those leaders stand on some giant souls and spirits of people that were the voiceless and made that person the voice of us. So to endure is the strength of endurance. And it's so funny that you say that, endurance. I was watching something on TV about ants trying to get across this stream, and some ants knew that they would have to die to sacrifice and make a bridge to get across the stream. But those ants were able to make it across the stream to build their new colony that they had to build that was there. It was amazing because, without the sacrifice of those other ants, the other ants wouldn't survive. So I'm not calling Black history that of ants, but I'm just saying so many people had to sacrifice. They had to be the voiceless. They had to endure for us to be where we are today. And with that being said, one thing that I would like to do, which is more important to me than anything else, is I'm all about Black history. And people say, well, I don't have time to read books. I don't have time to read books. Well, let me tell you, my good friend Aya Nelly had Fred Thompson on her show not too long ago. He's the inventor of urban intellectual properties right here. These are flashcards. So for you guys that want something to do while you're traveling, just go to Urban Intellectuals, pick up these flashcards. He's got like 5 volumes of these flashcards. He's got a calendar and everything. I don't get any proceeds from this. I'm just supporting him because this is what I use to educate the young men over the course of the last 4 years. So most of my young men at least know about 200, 300 of these cards and these figures. They can identify them and they understand our accomplishments. So here you go, Mr. Fred Thomas, Urban Intellectuals. You can look them up. You can get them on Amazon. You can go to the website and get these cards. These are definitely a game changer, and they're easy to read and they're fun to read and they're educational. I still use some time or two when I'm at work at night and I just want to quiz myself to thumb through them. So if Dr. Rodney Duckett is using them, anybody can use them. So, but with that being said, guess what? I'm here with the bold, the beautiful, the brilliant Tonee B. Shelton.
Are you saying that because I paid you to say that?
Yeah.
I knew it.
I figure if I keep saying it, I get a little $100 bill, a little extra kickback, So, no, Tonee, glad to have you back on the show. And thank you for coming in on short notice. But it just so happened to work out. The universe made this thing happen because you've got some things that are coming up. So I don't know where to start, if we want to start with that or if we want to start somewhere else. But let me do this. Let me control my show because you didn't got me all thrown off a kilt right now. Okay? All right. Tonee, what you been up to?
Oh, man. Story time.
Story time. All right. Talk to me.
Yeah, so I made, the end of last year, everybody's like on their, making their end of year promises, what they're going to do in the next year. And one of the things that I told myself I was going to do is, we know that I've been writing books. My mom made the joke, you put out more books than Tyler Perry puts out movies and shows. And I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I wanted to elevate my writing experience. I wanted to go closer to the people. I wanted to give them an experience. And so I have committed I want to do 50 story times this year. And so I've already kicked myself off because I did a story time with the Boys and Girls Club. I did a story time with HEB in the Temple area. And just all these different places. I'm stocked at the library in the Harker Heights location. I'm just really excited. So I've just been putting my head down and working, which is what we talked about that last time. But I don't know. I feel like we just shouldn't put limits on ourselves. So I've been investing in story time.
And like I said in the beginning, near and dear to me are these story times. My mother's a master librarian. She's an educator as well, too. That was one of the biggest things that she done in the community is had a story time. She had people come in from the community to read. There was always something to do. And I think I spend more time in my imagination as a child by way of stories and hearing stories, or if it's uncles telling stories or my grandmother telling me stories, it was always some good stories. And you anchor yourself to those stories because they become a part of who you are. In the world of this digital media, YouTube, Facebook, and all the other stuff that the kids are into as far as video games, how much of their imagination are they using?
Probably zero at this point.
Zero. But imagination is what created America to be. Like I said, speaking of these cards here, when you go to these cards and see some of these great inventors, I always challenge the boys when I'm driving because I'm a bit of a storyteller myself.
What?
Yes, I am, And I have this thing that I always do if I see something. Like the other day, I was at a stoplight with 2 of the boys. We were going to a group, and I said, who created a stoplight? Garrett Morgan. Then a fire truck went by. You know who created the EMS system? And I was like, I didn't get that far to tell them. They was like, and I said, Freedom House. And they said, what is Freedom House? So they started looking up Freedom House. And one of the kids read it and said, Dr. Duckett, Freedom House started the 911 system. I say everywhere you throw a rock, there's Black history.
Wow.
The 911 system was created by the Freedom House out of Pittsburgh because EMS, or the fire department at that time, because it wasn't called EMS, was not going into the Black community. So Vietnam veterans with Dr. Safer, which is a father of CPR, created the 911 system within Pittsburgh, and then it went global in about 10 years. So that is Black history. So you got the stoplight, which is Garrett Morgan, public health and safety, and then you also have the EMS system, which is Dr. Safer and Vietnam veterans that needed jobs that come back from Vietnam, and then also the community. And that's story time.
It is.
That's story time.
It is. It is amazing to me. You know, as humans, they talk about how we're such visual creatures, and we are, but I think we really underestimate the sense of audio. I really do. Especially as you see the culture more increasing around audio books and things of that nature. When I think about past conversations, sometimes I think about people's faces and their expression, but as somebody that yaps on the phone all the time, I'm always thinking through things. Even when I would study for school, I would hear things. I remember what the professor said. I'd remember what my parents said. So I feel like for me, it just comes natural because I'm probably an audio learner.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because I remember in the past show and then talking to you before, you would just grab a book from under one roof and sit on the floor and read to yourself.
I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, just constantly. And that's the beauty behind books. You can like literally get lost in books. I mean, my favorite books growing up, believe it or not, I didn't start off with Black history, was monster books. I love werewolves for whatever reason.
That checks
Things
out.
like that. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
That checks out too.
So here she goes. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, yes. I don't know what am I in. Am I Dr. Jekyll or am I Mr. Hyde?
Both of them. BOFFUM. Both of them.
But I would get lost in those books. They were so great. I remember a story time at one time. It was by a Cherokee, a Native American, and he talked about the winds howl. That was done at Suburban Acres Library, and he made us close our eyes, and he played the flute, and he told a story, and that probably was like one of the greatest story times that I ever was in, because half the kids would sleep because they fell asleep, and then some of us was paying attention, and but story time really means a lot. So what are you planning on doing with this story time? I know you're going out doing your thing, your 50 locations. What are you trying to accomplish with story time?
So since the story time is centered around the latest book, The Scared Frog Takes the Leap, and as someone that also navigates anxiety and fear and frustration and hesitates to take the leap.
You.
Yeah, even me.
No way.
Even me. And, I think that's the beauty of humanity, understanding that some of our, I guess, what you say, bold was one of the B words that you used for me. Some of our boldest people also navigate their own inner battles. They navigate turmoil and they're fearful of things and everything. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And so in these story times, the book is about taking the leap. And that's what I want to do. Anybody that's going to attend these story times, they're going to be encouraged to take the leap. We're going to have call and response. We're going to talk back and forth about, what do you see about the water? So without spoiling the book too much, there's a point where the frog gets to the edge of the lily pad and he, fearing the cold water, he grows sad. That's a part of the book. And so I love to, when we have these reading experiences, no matter what age and stage, and what's funny is the adults are the ones that'll interact with me the most. I'll ask, what's the water in your life? What is the area that keeps you from jumping?
Okay. All right.
And that always creates, like, no pun intended, lively conversation. I'll ask, and parents will, they'll respond. They'll say, oh my goodness, I'm afraid of losing my income, or I'm afraid if I end this relationship, like, who will want me after that? And people are saying this in mixed settings too, with kids in the room, and then asking kids, what's your water in your life? And it's like, one young lady stands out to me. She said, judgment. I said, oh, that's a big word. She's in 9th grade. I said, judgment? She said, yeah, there's some things I want to do. I want to dress a certain way. But like my friends, they're always talking about other people. And so, everybody in the room kind of like paused. And she said, yeah, so if they'll judge other people, I know they'll judge me. So that holds me back from wearing the things that I want to wear. And I was just like, man, out of the mouth of babes, because I'm like, that vision of how you want to dress and express yourself, you should always be encouraged to be free to express yourself, But we all navigate this human experience of wondering, well, what will they say? What will they say if I shave my head? What will they say if I have my septum? What will they say if I'm a man and I wear a pink suit? You know, all of these just different.
Yeah, I wear a pink suit. It's a rose color suit.
Hey, listen, and you can. That's the audacity that you have. And people are looking to people like you who walk in their boldness because it's encouraging. But there's a lot of folks that want to put on a rose suit, but they won't do it, you know, as a man. And I'm just throwing out examples, but I give that because there's some men that really want to, you know, stretch their style, or they really want to speak up in a meeting, but they're afraid of their own voice. Like our water, the water that keeps us from leaping to the next lily pad, it covers all of us.
And I like what you said, is to be bold and step into yourself. And as we go through 2026, like I said at the beginning of the year, we've got to understand our currency that we bring. And the bit of our currency that follows in on the knowledge end of it is how much do you know yourself?
Wow.
Really, how much do you know yourself? Not what other people are doing around you and what you adopt, but your pure essence of yourself. Which is important, but I do like that, and I'm not afraid to wear any color suit or shirt. I'm set in my masculinity, you know. I just what looks good on me looks good on me, and I wear it. Shout out to Hatis. You know, Hatis always brings the best flair out of me. She's one of my favorite photographers.
Yeah.
So I can't say of all time because I got some people down in San Antonio and Houston that like me. But right now, Hatis is wavering number one.
Did she send you some money too?
No, she did.
Okay.
I just done some headshots with her.
So I got you. I knew it was something. We knew that it was something. No, but with these story times, you're like, what are you hoping to achieve? Yeah. I am hoping to hold people accountable. And it's so funny. When I started out with this book, I just thought, okay, it's going to be about navigating fear and peer pressure, and then that's going to be that on that. Then somebody asked me, can you come and read it? And I said, oh, sure, that'll be exciting, because I used to do that when I was a kid. I used to read out loud to people. I know this might shock you because I forget you're like the silent generation, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I said I wasn't going to start in the new year. Okay, well, as a millennial, they would have us in like sections to play. So there'd be like the dancing station where there was like, now I'm showing my age for some of y'all that are younger than me. They'd have like a radio and all of a sudden like a bean bag. Then they had like the book station, and it'd be different bean bags, a book section. Then they had the arts and crafts section. It was like 6 different sections around the cafeteria when they would watch us. And so you could spend like about 15 minutes or so, and then they would have you rotate. And so I'd cheat and stay in the library section, and I'd force other kids to listen to me on the beanbag. So I'd pick a book and I'd read it to them. And it's so funny because most people that have that storyline, they became teachers. But I knew for a fact that I don't think that's what God has for me. But I did know I wanted to read to folks. So I'm using these story times, I think, a little bit as like goal setting. Like one of the fun moments that I had was I worked with the Waco Hanan Foundation, their Pearls. They had a vision board party. And so I was able to ask them the questions: who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I need around me to become that person? Mm-hmm. And then we signed our Take the Leap pledge. So this is something that I've created as well. This is an opportunity for folks when you experience story time. You're going to write on this paper an area that you promise to yourself that you're going to take the leap in 2026, and you're going to pin it up somewhere, and you're going to look at it every day, right? Because we know the power of affirmations. I know you're big on that.
Most definitely.
Big on visual, audio, all of that. And so I'm hoping to inspire the world and myself, most importantly, myself. Because what I'm learning in this season is, you know, you can perform for other people, but if you don't have enough for you, you know, it's all for naught.
You know what, Tony? I think we need to go to break and come right back because I have more questions to ask you. This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of the Conversation. We'll be back with the Triple B.
Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Tonee B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose, with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email TonyShelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized. Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemiallc.com.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC outreach@gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums, so that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family, so that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. Hey, this is Dr. Rodney Duckett back with the lively art of conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, we pass it along. If you have a idea of a show that you want to do, if you have an event that's coming up, if you would like to underwrite the show, or if you just like to sponsor the show, or any commercial stuff that you would like for us to put out, especially if you're a nonprofit, feel free to reach out to me at the lively art of conversation at Gmail. That's right, lively art of conversation at Gmail. And we are back with the Triple B. Bold, beautiful,
billionaire. Oh, sorry.
Dang, she just threw a fourth one in there. Billionaire, Tonee B. Shelton. The B stands for billionaire.
The B stands for it's Tonee B. Shelton, and the B stand for billionaire. I like that. That's gonna be the tagline.
That is it. That is an affirmation right there. That's right. Oh, so when we left for break, one of the things that you said that you couldn't see yourself being a teacher, but I have to argue with you on that one, because you are a educator and you educate. You don't have to be in the classroom to actually educate someone. You're doing that every day by picking up a book and reading to people. Your name is synonymous. I just recently had my good friend Keisha Lopez on the show, and we laughed and talked about.
That's a good woman right there. That's a pretty woman right there.
Yes, so she's very great spirited.
I think she
woman.
wears that pink and green too.
Yeah, she had on green, and she was doing her little bragging,
successful
and stuff
lady
like that.
right there.
So, yeah. So, all right, Keisha Lopez, we hyping you up right now. Now, Keisha's good people. But she spoke very highly of you. Outside of this, Andrew Wilkerson speaks highly of you. So you have a lot of people that speak highly of you. And isn't it amazing that you're 33?
I am.
But you have a much older soul. And that soul carries, because the people that are older than you see you as an equal. How does that make you feel?
Pressure.
Why?
Man, because I'm but 33. Because, in some instances, things make sense to me, And I think, too, being an only child, you were around adults your whole existence. And it was like you heard grown folks' conversation. Then you had to leave the room when grown folks was having grown folks' conversation, which is very silly. I want to throw this in here about literacy and reading, y'all. So I started learning how to read. Right. Maybe first, second grade, they were putting out stuff. And I remember my mom used to talk to my papa when we'd be going out to my granny's house. And she'd say, such and such is in Jail. I'm like, jail. Like, such and such is MEAN. I'm like, mean. So I just, that was a little joke there, and that my mama was spelling words that we had already cleared last year. So
goodness.
Barbara, shout out to you, but I had known to read by then, so you were not being discreet. In having an old soul, I think being around adults I think having an old soul was difficult when I was a child because I struggled with friends, and I talked about my navigating bullying, but it's great now because everybody's an adult. And so it's kind of like, but the pressure piece is that I feel like I still think and make mistakes like I'm 33. So that's why I say there's a pressure piece, because although I may be looked at as a peer in certain ways, developmentally, I just think there are certain things that just come with time.
Well, yeah, and that is true. There's certain things that come with time, but the beauty behind what you're doing is you're connecting to an older population that's already seen the potholes in the road.
Yeah.
And that's a very beautiful thing. I come from a generation that I really hung on the words of the old wise men and the beautiful, brilliant ladies that has guided me along the way. And if they told me, hey, this is not the way you should go, I mean, I would listen to them because the advice of the elders reigned supreme where I came from. So it's beautiful that you have these people around you, because the worst thing that I've seen in this generation is that the youth do not listen to the elders, and the elders refuse to learn from the youth, which creates dysfunctionality, meaning that we hold a stagnant spot.
Wow.
So I think with the story time, people coming out, and I think the reflection of what you said, sometimes the adults are engaged in the story time just as well as the kids is a beautiful thing, because as we know, kids do listen, JAIL, Miss Barbara, kids do listen. So, but yeah. So with this story time, okay, and in your travels and everything you've been doing, every time I turn on the flipping TV, guess what?
What?
You're there.
Oh, wow.
What's up with that?
I think you got to be loud and proud about the work that you do. No one's going to be excited about the work that you do unless you are. And for me, if you follow me on social media, sorry, you're going to see a ton of things about the books that I'm doing, the places that I'm going, the businesses that are stocking me, the coffee shops that I visit, the bookstores that I go to and patronize, the libraries that I'm stocked in. You're going to see that journey. That's why I created on Facebook the author Tonee B. Shelton. It is me, but it's also a persona in the fact of I'm curating and giving you an experience and inviting you into the love that I have for literacy and words. Because I honestly and truly, I really believe books are powerful. We say all the time, words are powerful with Better Watch Your Tone. But the concept of reading, what I really appreciate, because we all like, oh, back in my day, I love that I'm seeing Gen Z is really trying to slow down, and I think they call it like analog. They're wanting to do things like how I grew up. Like they're kind of tired of the subscriptions. Some of them really do want to read hardback books. They're paying to go to events where you turn your phone in for the next 2 hours and you just, like unplug. And for the 30 and up crew, we're like, you can unplug because we remember a life without a cell phone. But I think what we always have to remember is that there's like I think the iPhone is like 22 years old.
Yes.
So there are young adults that are among us working, thinking, breathing, loving, leading, struggling. They don't know life without a cell phone. So this story time for me is just another way to engage them and get them having what we're doing now, lively arts of conversation. Now I'm using the book to do it, but that call and response, us doing our pledge cards, them having this multi-generational influence from parents and Gen Alpha, like we're not even talking about Gen Alpha. And then I think there's another one on the way as well. We lost so much when we stopped sitting on grandmama's porch.
Oh, we did.
Grandmama might have had a 2-bedroom house, but 97 people was piled up in it, right? Making food and sitting out, and somebody was barbecuing. I really remember, my grandmother, she's been gone since I was in high school, but every Saturday we would head out. She's my maternal grandmother. And multi-generations would just be hanging out on Saturday, listening to my granny. Now she did watch them soap operas, and it's, I never quite understood that aspect, but she had a washing machine. There was always food. There was always her getting on to somebody. Her children were always asking her questions. Always had Christmas gifts. She'd call me I get to talk to her on the phone every now and again. She bought me these Barbie heels. They were like a little kitten heel. And I still wear kitten heels. So thank you, Shirley Ann, for setting that in motion, because stilettos, the girl cannot do. She bought me my first set of Barbie kitten heels and let me click clack around the whole house. It was getting on everybody's nerves. But Granny was like, let the baby be excited. Yeah. I think we're missing that. Yeah. And I don't know if it's, the economy looks a little different, to get a house, you know how I'm not going to go off on that, that lively art of conversation. Yeah. But we are missing listening to our elders because they got the jewels. They got the time. Yes, and the sad part is they are a book just waiting to be open. So if you engage with somebody from your age group, the silent age group, and you ask them a question, you are a wealth of knowledge.
You know what? I agree with you on that.
That you're from the silent generation?
No, not from the silent generation. I agree with you on that. The whole concept of this show is just to bring in local people with a story, our story. Mm-hmm. You're my tribe. We create our vibe. That's something I've been saying all my life. And these stories are very prominent because it's not a time where I don't go somewhere and someone pulls me to the side and they'll tell me an episode and specific things that people said on the episode that forever changed their life, or there was a word of the day or quote or whatever the case may be. So, this is, I call this one a very small show, but I say this is the pebble in the pond that creates the ripples that touches the shore, because this voice, your voice, everybody that comes on here creates a story, a dynamic that is just very hard to follow. So sometimes it's not the big lights and the camera. Sometimes it's about just those ordinary people that bring those extraordinary stories to our life.
And, when you even look at trends too, if you're listening to any of the podcasts or, you're on YouTube or even still on the television, what they talk about, people want to hear authenticity.
Oh, yes, they do.
I think there were generations, they wanted the poised and the proper and the highlights. And we should not glorify misery.
No, definitely.
So I'm like, let me put clarity on that. We should not glorify misery. We should not wallow. As a wallower and a ruminator, it's like, come on, girl, get up. I have the people in my life, though, that are going to say, come on, get up. But at the same time, I have seen it, and many people saw this on social media, and I don't know why I did this when I was having a hard time navigating a job loss. I was boohoo crying. I'm very sensitive. It's the water in me. I recorded myself crying, and at the moment I said, I want this footage for when I know the next time that I will smile.
Yes.
And so I had, I said, you know what? I'm just going to put this on Facebook. So I had a video up and I taglined it, "Don't Quit." And it was like, me crying. And then it was me doing an interview with my sister, my lovely, talented sister, Keisha Lopez, on KWTX. And I put "Don't Quit." And it went crazy. I think it had like over 1,000 views on it, over 200 likes. And people were messaging me saying, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much for sharing that." Yes. Like, thank you for sharing that. I'm like, you wanted to see me cry? And then God was like, no, silly. Other people are just wanting to know that, I post a lot of the highlights, and we all do this on social media. Mm-hmm. I post myself smiling. I post when I get a book stock, when I sell a book, when I get to speak somewhere, But how often do we post when we've just been denied from a job opportunity?
Yes.
How often do we share? Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do this in the moment because you don't have to perform for anybody, but maybe when you're on the other side of that pain, how often do you share with somebody, whether digitally or in person? Oh my goodness, like I was navigating a divorce too. Yeah. And I felt this way too. Or this is a true story. There were moments, and I'm not proud of the fact, but there were moments when I asked myself in the unemployment and I wasn't getting emails back, well, no one will care if I'm no longer here. Now, I didn't have a plan to take my own life, but this is what I'm talking about when I say if you allow yourself to wallow and you don't have that network around you and you forget who you are, it can get really dangerous. So I don't know where my millennials, my Gen Z, or even my Gen X or boomers who are navigating a hard time. But the word that we kicked it off with was endurance. In those really dark moments, sometimes all you need to do is just endure.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. It took me a while. As a child growing up, my parents, great parents, love them to death, but there was a level of, I wouldn't say perfection, but there was a level of 99.99%, So it took me a while to get out of that habit. It wasn't until I got to the military later on in life, I encountered my first really just hard crash. And I remember someone telling me to come here. It was a grown man. I was 18 years old. It was a grown man. Come here. It's gonna be all right. Dust that stuff off. It happens. Learn from it. Get back with me in a couple of days. Tell me what you learned. And I had to wallow in just what happened. And I went back and he says, you know what? Now you'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So I've learned throughout my life, and I tell people to embrace failure. I'm more faster to run to someone that has lost than someone that has won.
Interesting.
I really am. I don't know why it is. It's not that fact that I'm not happy for the person who won, but I know the feeling of winning. But I know the misery of losing. And I know what it is for someone just to say, hey, man, that was one hell of a ride. That was one hell of a game. Or, you know what?
Come on, Sunday.
You tried your best, but let's forget the rest and let's keep moving, So I really feel, that failure shows the character of the person. When you lose, it shows the character of the person, because if you can lose gracefully, you can show humility in a win.
Wow.
So I truly believe that. This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation, and we'll be right back with Ms. Tonee B. Shelton. Yes, that's right, Tonee B. Shelton, the one that was banned from the show. We'll be right back. We're back with the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, we pass it along. Like I said, I'm here with the great Tonee B. Shelton. And guess what? Tonee B. Shelton is my underwriter. Yes, she is my underwriter. You know how she became my underwriter? She put her money where her mouth was. That's what she done. She put her money where her mouth was. Listen, this show is your show. You're my tribe. I'm just trying to create your vibe. That's all I'm trying to do with our story. That's right, our story. So many times we listen to his story, but what about our story? And this is what the Lively Art of Conversation does. So if you have a story, if you would like a commercial because you have an event, if you would like to be an underwriter or a sponsor, or if you just like to make an in-kind donation to Impact Outreach, please reach out to me at livelyartofconversation@gmail.com. And right beside me is the banned one, the bandit, the desperado.
The banned billionaire. Who bans a billionaire?
Yeah, I had to ban her, but she came back. She brought in a suitcase full of money and she came back.
Can't kill me. Unstoppable, baby. Unstoppable. Relentless.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Ms. Tonee B. Shelton, you got a lot of different stuff that's coming up.
Yes.
A lot of different stuff. I would like for you to tell the audience what Tonee B's got coming up.
Well, I'm super excited to announce, if you are in the Central Texas area, we're going to be doing a story time at the Barnes & Noble in Market Heights, February 7th. I am really excited about this opportunity. I would like to see, I call them our leaders and leapers when I promote it. So I'd love to have your family, if you've got kiddos from ages 4 to 11, if they're outside of that range, I invite you to come, but specifically 4 to 11, we'd love to see you at story time in the Market Heights area, February 7th. And have not yet nailed down the date, but I want you all to keep your eyes peeled on the Temple Public Library, because they're going to be having an outstanding event called Tale, and yours truly is going to be tailing, right, yapping. I believe that I'll be sharing a workshop about my writing process and just giving people tips and tricks when they're thinking about writing their own book, and I'll be doing some things with my children's book, so I'm really excited about that. So keep your eyes peeled at the Temple Public Library. In the early March, we're going to be doing a Tale event, and this is to celebrate and promote literacy in writers. And then I'm going to be doing something with a church in the Waco area. I'm going to be actually blowing the dust off my spoken word hat. I'm excited to celebrate. So a lot of people don't know that I'm a spoken word artist. I don't typically, I guess, talk about those things. But do we have another spoken word artist in the room? Is that what's going on with all these gestures?
No.
Oh.
I was happy that you, like, I love spoken words. Shout out to Shake. Shout out to
Shake.
Miss Cass Poetess.
Shout out to Cass Poetess.
Your good friend, Mr. Fatodi.
Shout out to Fatodi in Tulsa. Yes, thank you, Fatodi. He said, read the poem. Don't yell into the mic. Thank you, Fatodi. I appreciate that.
No, I'm glad you said that. I love spoken word. I'm not a spoken word artist. A lot of people think I am. But, being a Capricorns love art. We love art, because it, like, listening to Fatodi, listen to Cass, listen to you, listen. Rest in peace, Rage Almighty, Wayne down in DFW. Listening to these guys, they really stimulate my intellectual prowess. So I really like that. I feed off of them.
Wow, Capricorns also like telling people what to do. So maybe y'all are spoken word artists. It's just in a different format. For the good. I'm going to let you make it. It's Sunday. Hello, y'all. Amen.
I'm not going to tell everybody about your secret. So, you want me to tell everybody about your secret?
I have no secrets.
Okay. All right. You behave now. That's the Capricorn in me taking control.
Anyway.
What else you got going on?
And outside of the story time, I'm really trying to focus on getting myself together. I think it's really important. We can be rock stars in one area of our life, right? We can be productive. We can show up at work. We can show up for our friends. We can show up for platforms. We can show up to volunteer. But then we can do that inner check and see that the soul, the spirit is a little tired. And so for me, sometimes when we go, it starts showing on our face. So one of the things that I said I wanted to commit to in 2026 as well, with the 50 story times, is also making sure I slow down enough to take care of me. So your girl has been going to the gym. It's been a little difficult because Raising Cane sauce, Chick-fil-A nuggets. We've been driving past them. There's been a lot of taqueria places. A number 7 with the birria, please. Anyway, see, y'all said it's Sunday. So I have been really trying to slow down and take care of myself from a wellness perspective, because in order for us to have the strong, legs and the heart to survive that jump, we need to actually get our physical self together. Yes. We need to get our mind together. I was talking, I am on Substack. My Substack is Tonee B Shelton, or Will Write for Food. I'd love for you to subscribe to me on that. I yap on that as well. But I did a live recently, and I said if we could get our head, our heart, and our hands together. I take that from you because I know you talk about the head and the heart check. Yeah. But honestly and truly, like the 3 H's, getting them in alignment. If we can get our copyright infringement, don't use it.
Wait a minute.
Look, it's going to be a race. If y'all see 2 books out that say head, heart, and hands, y'all heard it first.
People be stealing right.
I know. Look, why are we going to see a book out? I feel it. Anyway, well, it's out the bag now. But if you get your head and your heart, if you get the head and the heart in alignment, the hands will have no choice but to do what they're supposed to do. And I think that's really important. Sometimes a lot of us are not operating in purpose because we're exhausted.
Yeah, and that's true too. And I would like to say to you, this wisdom side of me, that I see you moving in your purpose. And you have momentum. And I don't know if I ever told you, every 7 years there's a change that happens. So you have to be ready for the change. That's the way you become challenged to be able to move through the next decade. But you're moving divinely in your purpose. And it's all about balance. And I know I've said this one to you before, DSF, discipline, structure, and focus. You really got to have that. And I've been known to be very rigid in my life. So now I'm going through a shedding of my skin to be less rigid, but have my moments of having fun. People that know me know I'm all about business, but I'm having my moments to have fun. And this show is a part of me having fun. A lot of people are saying, I've never seen a different side of you laughing like this before. You're always serious, but it's good to see you laugh. It's good to know that you are a human being. Right. You're not a program cyborg or something like that.
Well, the verdict's still out on that one. They didn't see us getting ready for this show, but I'm gonna let you make it for the folks online.
Yeah. So, Tonee,
yes.
I want to ask you this: is there any works coming up in the near future? Is there a Scared for All Take the Lead Part 2?
It's so funny. So I'm glad that you asked me that. I did another interview, and it was on the KWBU platform. Shout out to KWBU. Maybe there's a way in which you all could collaborate. And I said, you know what? the last part of this book says the scared frog takes the leap. And I shared with them, I said, there's going to be a landing and then another leap. And so I think having a series and explaining to folks without giving myself away, I want him to land in the water.
Wow.
I want him to miss. And that next book is going to talk about how do we navigate landing in the water to get to the lily pad.
Plot twist.
Plot twist.
Oh, my goodness.
There we go.
Hey, I'm excited for you. I'm excited in everything that you got coming up. Can you tell them one more time again where you're going to be February the 7th and what time?
Yes. February the 7th, I'm going to be at the Barnes & Noble in Market Heights. We're going to kick off at 11 a.m. But listen to my special people. It doesn't hurt y'all to get there at about 10:30. To my special people, I'm gonna just say my special people. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt for y'all to get there at 10:30, but we're gonna kick off at the Barnes & Noble in the Market Heights location at 11 a.m. February 7th, and we're gonna have an outstanding story time. They're gonna be coloring sheets. We're gonna do a call and response, and we're all gonna sign our pledge card to take the leap. So for those that know that you're coming and that you're bringing your future leader and leapers to this event, know that the end of this is gonna be you making a pledge to take a leap in a certain area in your life. So be ready to have an interacting activity. Bring your littles. They're going to be able to color. We're going to have a little music going, a little hopping going. For those that follow me on social media, Landrum the leapfrog is going to make an appearance. That is my plushy frog that makes every story time appearance. And this is going to be a great time in Central Texas. So many people talk about there's nothing going on in Central Texas. There's nothing free for kids to do. There's nothing free and family friendly. And I'm like, I beg to differ. But I'm done complaining. I'm just going to continue to produce. I'm just going to produce. And for those that are interested in literacy and engagement and just having a funky good time. And I also want to throw out there, I'm grateful to God because a couple years back, I took a picture of another book and I put it in front of the Barnes & Noble on the outside. And, for those that believe in prayer and for those that believe in manifestation, man, there is power in visualization and declaring that something will happen. I had no idea the Creator was going to open it up for me to be at the local Barnes & Noble. And honestly, Rodney, I believe that this is, Dr. Duckett, I think this is the start. I'm ready for Charlemagne the God to call me so that he can put me on his publishing imprint.
Really?
Okay, hold on. So that I could be on Atria Publishing, right? So that I could go across the country at all the Barnes & Noble and local bookshops. So
I think you're bigger than that.
Oh, well. Perhaps. We are both born around the same time, so there is a certain synergy there, but...
Okay. All right. I will leave that for where it's at. But I will like to say this as we come to the close. Ms. Tonee B. Shelton, you are endurance. Everything that you said today is your enduring journey as a middle distance and a long distance runner in high school and for the military. You have kept the pace to win the race.
Oh,
so
I love that.
I'm very proud of you.
Spoken word artist.
Yes. I'm in training. Cass is working with me. I'm in training. So, but hey, 30 seconds. What would you like to give the audience as we shut it down?
When all else fails, endure. And I'm pivoting it back to you. Here's your Take the Leap pledge card. Before we end, just short term, what is an area in your life that you're pledging to take the leap this year?
Ooh.
Come on, Cyborg.
You know what? I am really back on my DSF, my discipline, structure, and focus. So I'm really trying to hone that back in because I let that go loose. So that's what I'm going to focus on.
Love that.
Yeah.
If y'all are interested in working with me, you can find me on all social media platforms. Tonee with 2 E's, Tonee B Shelton. If you are interested in working with me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. If you want to reach out, my name is Tonee with 2 E's, ToneeShelton@gmail.com. If you'd love to access my work, it's www.bettawatchyatone.com. That is my small business where we find purpose through words, poetry, and prose.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it here. The bold, the beautiful, the brilliant, and the billionaire.
There we go. Big B.
Big B. Miss Tonee B. Billionaire Shelton has just now gave us the enduring race of her life. Remember, the word of the week is endurance. Keep the pace to win the race is what she's done. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys here. It's Black History Month. Let's study. Let's get those urban intellectuals. Let's study Black history. One piece of Black history a day. Empower you and fill your cup in so many ways. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, Tonee B. Shelton, pass it along. I will see you guys next week.